We're recording it now. Okay, going back to results, you can limit your search. If you go down to where it says publication date, you can limit it that way. Like if I wanted to change it to the last 10 years, I can do that. And also you can limit by subject. If I want to do just civil rights in the United States, I can click on that and it'll run the search again. And now I have 1,500. So we're going to stop for a minute and look at the ebooks. Here's how you access the ebooks. You're going to click on the online access. And when this screen comes up, you're then going to click on the academic, the link to the ebook collection. We're going to give it a minute to load. Okay. It's a little slow loading today. Over in the left corner, you'll see where it says PDF full text. What you should also be seeing is a link that says download. Let's see if we can get it to come up. There we go, full download. If you're just look at the book for research purposes, you can just click PDF and it'll bring it up on your browser. Unless you want to read the book cover to cover, you don't have to download it. So we're just going to click on the PDF because I just want to see what's in there. All right, so here's the cover of my book. Down at the bottom, you can navigate the book page at a time, forward or backward. Or over on the side, you go to the left side, you can click on the beginning of a chapter, if that looks interesting to you. Or if you're looking for something specific, either go look for the index at the end. If you find a page of the topic you want, you can always type that page in down at the bottom, and it will take you there. Or go up to where it says search within, and you can type in a topic that way. So I'm going to see if there's anything about Tennessee in this book. Tennessee. All right. So what you're going to see now is anytime that word shows up in the book. So if I click on any one of these pages, it will show me. It'll bring up that page and you will see the word Tennessee highlighted. There we go. So you can see where they've highlighted in the text. So it's an easy way to find a specific topic in the book. All right, so that is the ebooks. Now say I just want to find a print book specifically. A couple ways to do that. If we go down to the refine my results on the left, right, sorry. And I go down to where it says libraries. This link tells you that there are 23 books on civil rights in the Harriman Library, 16 in the Oak Ridge. Okay, I want to look at all of them because you're not limited to the library that's near you. We have a courier service that can take the books to whatever campus is closest to you. So I want to search both campuses. So when I highlight the library, you'll see a little box pop up on the left. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click on the one by Oak Ridge, and then I'm going to go down and apply my filters. And then there are all the print books in Oak Ridge and Harriman. You can also tell because it'll tell you available at Harriman Library, second floor, and the call number. Please also note that if it's checked out, this one below it, it'll say checked out. If it's still on the shelf, if it should be on the shelf, it'll say available. Now, because of COVID, we are checking books out to you, but we are keeping the bookshelves closed. So if you need a book, you're going to have to request it ahead of time for us to get it for you. And here's how you're going to do that. Click on the link, the location link. Since you're already logged in, where it says availability and request options, there'll be a little request link pop up. You click on that, and then you let us know in the menu which campus you want this book to go to. Right. Location is required. The other two fields, not needed after comment, are not required. And then you'd hit your request link and we would get the request. Now you will need to give us a couple of days to get the book off the shelf and have it ready for you, especially if we have to send it to another campus. You should get some kind of notification about this. If a couple of days have gone by and you've heard nothing, feel free to give us a call and ask. Okay. I am now going to hand the screen over to Heather, who's going to talk about finding articles.
Hi there, I'm going to share my screen with you all and talk about specifically navigating databases. So can everybody now see my screen? All right, wonderful. So Laura just talked to you in depth about OneSearch, and I'm going to shift gears to talk about databases. So there are different ways to access our databases. You may find them through, for example, a subject-specific research guide, but the best and easiest way is just literally to start here with research databases in the middle of our web page. And you'll note that that takes you literally just to an A to Z list of all databases we subscribe to. You can sort by subject, and I would highly recommend that you do. Subject also includes source type. So you see we have you can go directly to our streaming video collection. We're going to focus just on history, because we're going to stay in the same vein of civil rights. So you see that there are 16 suggested databases for history. And you'll notice on most of these subjects, if not all, we're going to tell you what are considered best bets. So where you're most likely to find pertinent information. And note that in this section, only one of what we consider best bets are indexed in OneSearch. So this little magnifying glass that is very hard to see with a 1 is indicating that this database collection is part of OneSearch. What that means is if you were only going to OneSearch to look up your subject area, you're not going to get anything from these other collections. So sometimes, as Laura said, you could use OneSearch for all your search needs, but you may overlook and miss, if doing so, really good collections. So that's why it's good to drill down to the database collection. I'm going to talk about this one just for a moment, but not conduct a search here. This is a really good database, Daily Life Through History, to use. And the first thing you're going to notice when trying to enter any database is you're going to have to authenticate yourself. What that means is just it wants to make sure that you are an authorized user. And yay, I can type correctly. It usually takes me 3 tries. This is the main screen. So you see right off the bat, this looks entirely different than OneSearch. And you'll notice as we go through several databases, they do all look different. So don't let the look and feel of a database deter you from using them. Everything that you can glean from these different databases will be the same, and you will be able to narrow your search results database to database, but they will look different. So some are going to look entirely different from this. I just want to again give you an overview. This one, for example, right off the bat on its landing screen has divided things up into historic periods. You could input information here, or you could go just to a specific period. I'm going to go back to the A to Z list, and I want to focus for a few minutes on college and context, which again, both of these were not part of OneSearch. So this is why you would drill down to this level. We go to college and context. You see, again, looks totally different, but we're still trying to get to the same basic information, which is some source type needed for your assignment. Let's stick again with civil rights. you'll see that this database wants to help you. It wants to auto-populate the field, and a lot of databases do this. That's perfectly fine to just choose the selection. You can stop typing at that point and choose what they're offering. You see on this landing page, we have an overview. We can click to read more, which we're going to do in a moment. But at the bottom of the page, it's showing you featured collections. And if you scroll even further, it's giving you, similar to what we just saw for best bets for databases, it's giving you just a highlighter best bets in each section that may be of interest to you. So as you scroll, you can see that you can just quickly go to those key or highlighted entries, or you can go back up here and you see there are 723 academic journal entries. Here, you could access the same information. So just keep in mind, this doesn't mean that just what is in the box is all that's available. This is a great source for images. As you saw, we've got some audio, so, journals, magazines, trade publications, newspapers. It runs the gamut. We're going to look at perhaps this is of interest. So you see on this landing page again, it gives you just a brief snippet of what the article contains. If we click on the title, we will have access to the full article. You can scroll down and just get an idea of what it's about. You could sit and read it, obviously, if need be, if you have the time to devote at the moment. But in most cases, you'll probably want to either save or print out, or both, depending on your needs. And you can capture the citation, which you'll also want to do to use in your paper. So keep in mind, you just need to identify which guide you're using, what the requirement is, copy and paste that, and put that in your works cited or reference or bibliography section. Do keep in mind always to double check a citation with your particular guide you're using. Often there may be something just very small, like there's a period instead of a comma, or these need to be lowercase, whatever it is. Just keep in mind, use this as a starting point. What you copy and paste, use as a starting point, and check with your guide. Another thing that's nice in College in Context is it will pull up related subjects for you. So if this, you found that this article was spot on, you may want to dig deeper. So this was, for example, on, as we see on Birmingham's buses. So you may want to go and dig deeper there, maybe about the Montgomery bus boycott. So you could click and it would take you on to other subject areas and other source types. I'm going to close that out and go back here. And I want to talk for a moment about this collection, which is part of OneSearch, but it's nice to go directly to the database when you're using Credo, because again, the interface is different and it's a lot more navigable when you're going directly to this level as opposed to using OneSearch. And you're hearing a library kitty now, so pardon me. Here again, looks completely different, but we're still searching for the same information. What you see here in Credo, it's a lot of background encyclopedia information. So it might be good for your introduction or just truly background information for you to understand more about the subject. You see Credo gives you key concepts, so keywords, subject areas to tell you a little bit more, gives you a glimpse of what this is about. And as you scroll down, you'll just see all sorts of information until you find what's most relevant. We're going to click here just to look for a moment and say this is what we need. This even has some primary source imagery, which is great. Again, different look and feel, same concept. Pull the citation. You can print it out. You can save it. Whatever you need, it can be done here as well. You may also just want to look at a certain collection again by source type, because it's just easier. This again is part of OneSearch, but because we're now into video, we're into media, it may just be easier to visually see it here. And so to take out the middleman, so to speak, with OneSearch and search directly within Films on Demand. And hopefully that'll load. Here we go. Okay. So here, it's very slow. It's thinking about it. Okay. This is like how my brain is operating now. So I'll start here and then we'll see what happens. We may have to go to advanced search anyway. We'll give it a moment. Okay, Films on Demand does not want to participate. So I'll just show you here. This would bring up very similar information, and you can click on the image. You can see what it's about. But again, because it's visual information instead of textual information, this is a good database just to go and to click and watch a short snippet of the video. And if you are having any technical issues, such as this librarian is having right now, we do have a section that will help you with that under research tools on our webpage. So you can always contact us, or just go to Ask a Librarian to contact us. Okay, so now it finally thought about it. So here we go. So you see again, visual imagery wise, it's easy to see the snippet of the information and to even watch part of the collection, and you can see the length of the video, etc. I want to end my part on databases with talking about a very robust database, which is JSTOR. Again, very different look and feel. And you'll see here, unlike before, they had these source types broken up, but let's assume maybe in the first one, in college and context, we may have had, I think, maybe 3,000 or 4,000 results. And so now we have over 100,000 results here. You are going to want to drill down, absolutely, by subject area, by publication date, by even type of content. But do note, JSTOR, like College and Context, is another good place for images. So before you do drill down, you might peruse the images if that's something you would want to use. You'll also see in JSTOR, it will give you snippets. It will sometimes just give you an abstract if this is a scholarly work. So you can see a little bit about it before you open up the article. I'll click here. Again, totally different look and feel. We're talking about apples and oranges and grapes and prunes. I shouldn't say prunes. Plums. We'll say plums. But even though the look and feel is different, same thing. You can download it. You can save it. You can pull the citation information. So, you know, don't feel overwhelmed, or if you feel overwhelmed, know that there is an end in sight. You can find what you need, even if it is a bit different. And always keep in mind to contact us. And with that, I will hand it over to Lindy.
And unmute myself. That'll probably help. All right, can everybody hear me and see the library homepage on my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'll jump in here, and Heather and Laura have sort of touched on the most important points. So I'll try to wrap things up here pretty quickly. But we do want to address the fact that, you know, the Roane State Library has a great collection. We've got a lot of books and ebooks that you can find with OneSearch, and then we've got all those wonderful databases with scholarly journal articles and streaming video and all that kind of good stuff that Heather just went over. But I mean, obviously, you know, the library collection can't answer every single question that you might come up with when you're doing your research projects, right? I mean, we don't have all of the books, of course, how could we? So there are times when you're going to need to use Google or another search engine to find information from outside the library. That's totally okay. And Heather and Laura and I are always happy to help you do that. Because as you probably heard, there's a lot of misinformation out there that you can find through the open web, through sites that you find with Google. So you've got to be very careful when you use a search engine like Google and go to those outside websites. You want to be very careful, and we can help you Google smarter is one way to look at it. So OneSearch and the databases link are there on the home page, but I'm going to show you some of our other research tools over here on the left. You click on the research tools link. We put together something called the Research Toolkit, which are 4 different modules that walk you through the research process. You can go through those on your own time, or you might have a professor who assigns those. But they talk about things like how to refine your topic, get started, come up with search terms, things like that, and then how to evaluate and select sources, which we'll discuss in tomorrow's webinar. Hopefully, y'all will be able to join us for that. And then we've got a troubleshooting technical help guide. And then we've got our research guides on different subjects. There's a link where you can get to all of the research guides listed alphabetically, and they cover things like pretty much all of the major subjects taught here around state, dental hygiene, English 1010, history, philosophy, all those different subjects. But here, right on this page, we've got listed the most popular guides, the ones that tend to get used the most. For example, this guide called Finding Primary Sources. So this is something that Heather and Laura and I put together to help you if you have an assignment that says you must use primary sources that were actually created at a certain point in history by people who directly participated in some historical event. So let's say you need primary sources. This is actually one of those times when the library collections may be useful. You might find primary sources in some of the library books or databases. But on the other hand, you may not find enough. Primary sources, in my experience, are sometimes found more easily outside of the library on other websites. So you can see we've got this websites tab here. This is just a link of some websites that are out there that Heather and Laura and I have listed because we just know about them from having worked with other students in other classes. So for example, on this theme of civil rights, there's a website that we heard about called Black Freedom Struggle in the United States. It is a collection of primary sources. And Heather and Laura and I heard about this website and we've looked over it. We know it's a good, credible website, so we listed it on the research guide. So if you needed primary sources about the civil rights movement, this may be a good place to go. So there are some websites that we, the librarians, just have learned about. Again, just through working with professors over many semesters, we've come up with lists of websites that are good and credible and that you could use in your assignments. We can also help you find new websites using Google. And I'm just going to go over a few Google search tips to help you find the best websites through Google. If you type in a search here, you're probably going to get a zillion results, and a lot of them are going to be, frankly, they're going to be bad. They're not going to be acceptable to use in an assignment. So ways to narrow down your Google search results and find some of the better websites that you could use in assignment. One way to do that is to include this prefix that I've put on the screen, site:/.gov. If you do that, it's going to limit you to just government websites. So if we search for civil rights movement plural, there we go. You'll see results from things like the Library of Congress, loc.gov, or the National Park Service, nps.gov. These types of websites tend to be okay to use in your assignments. Most professors are okay with them. There can be exceptions, but just in my experience, the .gov type sites do tend to be the best to use, as opposed to something like a .com or a .org. .gov sites, it's not just historical topics. You could look for health and medical information, from places like the CDC or the National Institutes of Health. You can find population data and other demographical information from the Census Bureau, census.gov. There's a lot of topics that are covered on these .gov websites. So no matter what your topic is, you may be able to find a couple of good sources by doing a search like this. You can also do other domains. So if you wanted to search for site:.edu, civil rights movement, you could do that. And it would show you only websites that are affiliated with a school or a university. So that's one sort of advanced Google trick. Another, if we go over to the images tab, I just want to show you that when you're searching in Google, you can use their advanced tools to narrow your search results. So if you were looking for images, for example, and you wanted to make sure that you were finding images that were free to use and not restricted by their copyright, you could look for images and then narrow by this tool called usage rights and find what are called Creative Commons licensed images. And that means that you are welcome to use these for your own purposes, as long as you give a credit, as long as you cite those images. So that's one way to narrow down your image search using those advanced tools in Google. The other side of Google that I'm going to show you real quick is Google Scholar. Some of you may have used this before, but Google Scholar can be very helpful. It looks for scholarly academic articles and books, and you may be able to find something relevant this way. I'm going to do civil rights movement. Oh, I've searched it before, so that makes it easier. So if you search Google Scholar for civil rights movement, Greensboro sit-ins, you get some results here that are scholarly, books and articles. So you might find something good this way. The issue with Google Scholar, though, is that you might find stuff that is not actually freely available. So you might find something that's scholarly, but when you actually go to click on it and read the full text, you could run into a paywall where it says, hey, we're going to show you a little preview, but if you want the whole thing, you're going to have to pay. This particular article, I clicked on that, and it is in the database called JSTOR, which, if you remember, Heather showed us the JSTOR database. But just to make things extra confusing, JSTOR is a huge collection, and Roane State actually only has some sub-collections of JSTOR. We don't have access to all content within JSTOR. And this particular article is one that we just don't happen to have in our subscription to JSTOR. That's like JSTOR Plus, and we've just got the basic. So we do not have access to this article. So again, that's something that can be frustrating with Google Scholar. You might find something scholarly and acceptable to use, but Google, might ask you to pay for it, or when you try to get to it, you might be asked to pay. And we never want you to pay for sources. So if you do find a website and you're not sure if you should use it, contact the library and we'll help you figure out if it's a good website to use. And again, we'll discuss that in our session tomorrow. But then also, if you find an article like that one that we just saw in JSTOR, but it says you have to pay for it, because our institution's JSTOR collection doesn't have it, you can go back to the library website and you can ask us to get that for you. You can request it through interlibrary loan. So on the website, if you go to the library homepage and then click request materials, you'll then see the link that says interlibrary loan. And you can fill out the information there, including the title of that article or book that you want that the library does not own. So this one, I'd put in the article title, and then also, I'd want to go back and get the journal name and the page numbers and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, then I could submit this interlibrary loan request, and we would try to get that article for you from another library, if at all possible. So again, there's great information from outside the library, and Heather and Laura and I are happy to help you find that as well. All right, so on that note, I'm gonna stop sharing. We'll wrap things up. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask or pop them into the chat. We've also got the link to the drawing for the free laptop. So we will put that in the chat for you to fill out now. Oh, there we go. Heather's on it. So there's the form to fill out and you'll be entered into that drawing. And I believe we got most of this recorded. Is that right, Laura?
Yeah.
Okay.
We lost a little bit of the intro in OneSearch, but.
Okay.
Sorry
So we'll be posting that recording onto the library's YouTube channel just as soon as we can. And thank you all again for coming. We really appreciate it. Good luck with the drawing. All right, you're all very welcome. Everybody have a good rest of the day. Drive safe out there, stay warm. Heather and Laura, I will see y'all tomorrow. Hope to see some of the rest of you tomorrow.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming.